All right, I think we are live here. Let me see if I can pull up the list of everyone joining here. Super excited to be here, everyone. So thanks so much for joining in. And we'll just let everyone come on in. Okay, very cool. Oh, this is where, all right, great. We got everyone kind of piling in here. Awesome. We are live. This is the first time I've ever done live. I'm also on Facebook for those of you who follow me on Facebook as well. Super excited. Welcome to the Sexy Confidence office. So I'm super excited to be here today. This is actually announcing a really cool announcement for you guys later. We got a ton of cool people already piling in with comments. Tell me where you are right now. I'd love to hear about you. And also, I'd love to hear some of the challenges you're facing in your dating life, because we are just going to jump right into this right now. So I'm going to be looking here. I'm going to be looking up here as well at any time, because I'm also on Facebook Live right now. Thank you so much. Everyone's giving me a lot of love right now. Can you guys hear me okay? Give me a yes if you can. We got Israel. I got a you're fine. Thank you. I got my hair did today. I got on my suit. So this is not usual for me. I'm really excited. We got people from Holland, Toronto, London, Germany, Latvia. I went to Latvia, believe it or not, and had an amazing time out there. So I'm really excited. So we're just going to kick this thing off. I had a few questions kind of prepared here, but we got a ton of people joining in already. We're already up to 230 people within about 3 minutes of coming here. So why don't we start with just a few questions? Today, I'm going to be talking about the male mind, and I'm here to just literally just open this thing up and start jumping into this. Okay, so we're going to start with Freya. I get guys that stare at me, start to like me all the time, but nothing ever happens after that. It never goes any further. All right, here's the deal. Coach men. For those of you who aren't aware, I used to coach men back in the day. I used to actually I'm sorry, I'm looking at my notifications here on Facebook Live as well. So I used to coach men on how to actually go up and talk to you women. That's how I got started in all this. And actually, the reason why I got started in that is because I used to be absolutely terrified to go up and meet you ladies. And I really worked on this. I worked on how to be more authentic in my interactions with people and how to overcome some of those fears. And if you are struggling with having guys kind of staring, but they're terrified to actually do anything, number one, you need to realize that men are very, very, very scared of rejection. Put it into words and articulate how intense this fear really is for men. So for starters, I would like you to have a level of understanding where guys are coming from. And the best thing that you can do as a woman is give him a few, it doesn't have to be overt, it doesn't have to be obvious, but give him a few signals that he can work with to come up and come talk to you. And that can be just even the littlest smile. I mean, I remember when I used to coach men, I would have to walk into a room, look around the room, whether it's a bar or a party, wherever I was with the client, and I would want to find the women who are least likely to reject that client, right? Because I want to start off just boosting his confidence a little bit. And the first thing I would always look for is their vibe, right? Are they smiling? Are they having a good time? And the women that we would avoid like the plague are the ones that would sit in the corner looking like this, looking like they don't want anything to do with anyone, because of course they're least likely to, of course, be open to talking to us. So if you're finding that every time you go out, everywhere you go, men are not necessarily as, likely to come up and talk to you, really work on just smiling, opening up your body language, really opening up your shoulders rather than having them closed off to you. Focus on getting in the center of the room. Let's say you're finding this going out to bars or parties, places like that. Find yourself in the center rather than in the corner. Making yourself just a little bit more available is going to really help you kind of get out there. So is that helpful for you guys? Give me a yes if that's helping you guys. Awesome. I'm really excited. So I'm getting a few from Jay Black. I'm afraid of rejection too, though. Dating is hard, right? Like dating and relationships it's a difficult thing. And I think that, if you, in anything in life that's worthy, achieving, there's always going to be pain involved in getting there, right? For example, when I started Sexy Confidence, like my first 6 months of starting uploading videos, like I got no views and no one was watching this stuff. Okay. So that's almost the same form of rejection. And let's say I just quit at that point and say, you know what, I don't want rejection, I want out. Then who knows, we wouldn't be sitting here together. And I think the same is true for you women who have this fear of rejection. Look, you're going to meet some guys who are just assholes. Sorry, you are. And you're going to have some guys that maybe aren't as interested in you. But it's so important for you to be able to push through that and be able to keep your eye on the prize, because ultimately you are going to get there, right? You are going to get to that place. And the people who don't, the women who don't, are the ones who give up. And the only way, I say this all the time, I'm sure you guys have seen this in my YouTube videos, but the only way to fail at dating is by giving up. If you give up, then you have failed. The only way to push forward, and then anything barring that, everything else is success. Even if you go out on a terrible date, you say something super awkward, that's not a failure in my eyes. It's only when you actually give up and you say, you know what, I'm out. I'm not going to put myself out there anymore. Okay, I'm going to take a question from Facebook. You explain why some men want to meet up even though they have girlfriends and know that they will be rejected by me. I'm having a hard time understanding that. I'm having a hard time, Camilla, understanding that myself. I think the best thing that you can do is, so many things are going to happen to you in your dating life. And when you're single, you're going to have guys who are in relationships, maybe come up and talk to you, like in this particular situation. The best thing you can do is just not give energy towards that particular situation. Obviously, you want nothing to do with that guy. Why would you ever get involved with a guy who has a girlfriend and is actively pursuing other women? And that's a huge part of all of this, of being successful, dating, relationships, is being smart. About your dating life and not just wholly leading with the heart, right? And that's a lot what I did with the male mind map. So as it just be quick, just so you guys are aware, I'm going to be doing, I think, more of these just based on how many people we have coming here. This is awesome. You're going to see a link there below, both on Facebook Live and on YouTube. There's a link to the male mind map, which is something I put together based on my experience of working with men and coaching men. And it's just focused on the 7 things that men really want in a woman. I've kind of like broken it down. It's a very mini course, and it's something you guys can literally go, watch the entire thing and download the male mind map. I actually have a big one right here. This is the map, and behind each one of those, there is a point that I go through in the map. So definitely check it out. There's a link down there below. And you can check that out. So let's see. I'm getting a lot of thumbs up and love on Facebook. Thank you so much. If you guys are enjoying this on YouTube, why don't you give me a thumbs up? I'd appreciate that. And we got another question from Angelica. Is it okay to date your friend's ex? Look, I am a firm believer in just do what you would want other people to do to you, right? Would you want someone to date your ex? And the answer is probably no, but it comes down to, obviously, I can't just like make a blanket yes or no answer to this, because it comes down to obviously your relationship with this particular friend. Are you willing to lose that relationship? And ultimately, how did their relationship end? Did he break up with her? Did she break up with him? How long has passed? If it's been 10 years since they've dated, there's a different story here. But if you do think it would be appropriate, if your gut is telling you it'd be appropriate, then the best thing to then do is talk to your friend and ask that friend. And if they're not okay with it, then be a good person. Because something else that I think is lacking nowadays is courtesy. And I think I'm personally a huge believer in what I call dating karma. Okay. Karma's a bitch. And if you go out there and start doing things that you would not want to happen to you, well, the thing is that shit comes back around. And for example, if you go out with a guy, you have a great time, you're enjoying yourself with that guy, but or it didn't go well, excuse me. If you go out with a guy and it didn't go well, and then you just ghost on him or again, then the next time you go out with a different guy and he happens to be a great fit for you, but he goes on you, well, I don't feel bad for you, because that's dating karma. All right. So the best thing is even if other people, girls that you meet, whoever, end up being a little bit shitty to you, it's always up to everyone in this community to be the better person. And it's hard. It's difficult, especially, let's say you've gone out with a guy a few times. It's really, really hard to do that. But you really want to make sure that you are spreading the love, spreading that amazing dating karma. So let's see here. God, I have so many comments. I wasn't prepared for this many comments. First time doing YouTube Live, so I'm pretty excited. And keep throwing in the comments. Keep giving me a likes, everything you got down there. I really would appreciate it. How do you focus on other things while you wait for the right guy? Feeling sad. That was from Patricia. And, you know, I think this comes back to a common principle I've been talking about for years now, is that no one wants a life with you unless you have an incredible life without them. And what that means is you want to be getting out there and finding other things in your life that fulfill you, okay? If everything about your life just comes down to dating and boys and relationships, then you're not going to end up being a very deep person at the end of the day. And that's why I created Sexy Confidence in the first place. I didn't make this like, you know, how to get the guy, how to, you know, snag a boyfriend, none of that stuff, because what's most important is finding that incredible life when you're single, or of course, when you're in a relationship. But I've always said that you end up, the moment that you end up feeling great about being single, because you have all these cool things going on, maybe you found an amazing hobby, maybe you joined like a meetup.com group, maybe you started going to an eventbrite.com, like a regular event, maybe you started taking dance lessons, maybe you picked up a guitar, whatever it is. You can probably see my guitar in the background, I think here, maybe Facebook can't. Regardless of what it is that you put yourself into, the amazing thing is that once you find that you're happy with your single life, out of nowhere, some guy's going to snag you up and make you no longer single. And it happens all the time. It happens all the time with the women that I work with. They like want it so badly. And then finally they kind of like put that to the side and focus their lives on just being happy and focusing on those things that really fulfills them. And then suddenly a great relationship comes. So just focusing on, you know, so to answer your question, if you need to find things outside of dating relationships until you find that guy in your life, really just think about, you know, what is one thing that you've just always wanted to do but haven't yet had the courage to do it. Write it down, set a goal, and find a way to start making it happen. Maybe it's just like little baby steps, right? Maybe you've always wanted to become a public speaker. Well, go ahead and set a goal to join a Toastmasters group. And that's something that I did back when I was single, and now I'm a professional touring speaker, you know, speaking to hundreds of thousands of people around the country. So it's one of those things, like take a small step, and then before you know it, once you take that small step, then the next step's going to be even that much easier. So hopefully that's helpful for you. When to give up and when to try harder. Well, here's the thing. I'm assuming that signs that he's fully committed to you. Okay, I'm going to go on a few. Sorry, I'm getting a lot bombarded with questions right now. Let me just see where I can go. So I'm going to go back to the when to try harder, when to give up. This is for Dewanshi. Sorry if I'm screwing up your name. My apologies. You've posted this a few times. I'm assuming that it comes down to in a relationship. And the reality is that, you know, relationships at first are going to be incredibly easy, right? When you meet a great person, it's going to be because you have all these incredible love chemicals flowing through both of your bodies. You are both just kind of going with the flow. And then as time goes on in a relationship, you get to the 1 year mark and the 2 year mark and the 5 year mark and the 10 year mark and beyond. Suddenly, a lot of relationships come down to just compatibility, right? And it really is, it's the classic, like, do you have a lot of chemistry? Or do you have a lot of compatibility? And if you have both, that's the winning, right? And compatibility comes down to, Are your values the same? Or are you constantly fighting about, your different beliefs on like core things that you care about? Do you have the same vision for the future? Right? If you don't have the same vision for the future and you're finding that the relationship, you're just constantly fighting over and over and over again about either of you wanting different things. Let's say he's always wanted to live on a farm and, raise pigs, and you're like a city girl, and that's like both of you feel really strongly and passionately about that. Well, maybe that's a time to start looking at the relationship and just realize, you know what? We have a lot of chemistry, but we don't really have a lot of compatibility. And the best relationships out there have both. And quite frankly, chemistry is great, but compatibility is in many ways more important for the longevity of a potential relationship. And the worst thing is when we're single, we're not really looking for that as much. We're just like going by our emotions and our feelings. And I try to teach all of you with these videos is your minds just as much as you use your heart, if not much, much more. Let's see. More questions, please, below. I appreciate it. Sylvie, look at that mic. Hey, Sylvie, nice to meet you. I do have quite the mic here. I hope that's probably not coming through on Facebook. My apologies. Let's see. Conversation starter. So let's say conversation start. Oh, maybe that's actually a Facebook comment. I'm going to tell you a few conversation starters, or at least talk about starting conversations for you ladies who, look, it's the 21st century, right? No longer do you have to sit back and just hope and pray that a guy comes up and talks to you. Nowadays, you are, of course, able to make initiative. And what I always teach my clients, and what I've been teaching you all for a long time now, less so going up and just directly approaching a guy and being like, hey, do you like me? Right? That would be a terrible approach because it's just far too direct. Instead, what I found to be most effective for women is to go up to a guy and just give him a simple window of opportunity, right? So let's say you go after work, you just go to like a sports bar because there's a lot of guys over there. You go there after work and you just like have a glass of wine and you're just sitting there. There's a cute guy across the room. As you're walking by, let's say to go to the bathroom, you just stop him and be like, hey, so who's playing tonight? Really casual, really simple. You do it with a nice smile on your face. And suddenly he'll be like, oh, the Cavaliers are playing the Boston Celtics, whatever it is. And suddenly now you've given him a window of opportunity to drive the conversation forward. One of the biggest mistakes that a lot of more direct women make is they will go up and approach, and I've been the guy on the other side of this spectrum of being approached, and they'll just want to keep driving the conversation forward, right? And if you do that with a very masculine alpha male, there's only room for so much, for one person to really take the lead. In those early stages, I really urge the women here who find it hard to kind of take a step back. I really want you to be mindful in those scenarios to look, just let him take the pressure off of yourself. Let him kind of drive the conversation forward. If he sucks at driving the conversation forward, maybe he's not the right guy and he's not putting enough effort with you. Move on to the next guy. The best way that this like window of opportunity concept works is if you're just more casual way wherever it is you're going out. And on that note, something I always coach you guys on is your social score, having a high social score. And that's basically, every month, like people in my Sexy Confidence Club, for those of you, if we have any Sexy Confidence Club members in here, give me a what's up down there. That's like my kind of like inner circle membership program. And one thing that I urge all of them to do is to have to talk to at least 10 new guys every single month. Okay. And a social score is essentially how many new guys have you met in the past 30 days. And it doesn't have to be like the most attractive guy in the world. It doesn't have to be, the perfect guy that you've always been looking for. Actually, no, the idea behind this concept is for you to broaden your horizons a little bit. And it's going to force you to, because you have to talk to 10 guys. Chances are you don't come across like 10 like perfect guys every single month. And the idea behind this is for you to broaden your horizon and really focus on being very social whenever you're going out. And I've had clients who've come back and had a social score of 30 up to 40 guys in a given month. Like they just get at it, right? Every single weekend, they're like, all right, I'm going to go meet 10 guys this weekend. And you can imagine who goes from almost a non-existent dating life and then setting the social goal of meeting like even if it's 10 guys a month to meeting 10 guys a month, how much different everything else is from that point forward. And the reason is that not only is it going to give you more options of which guys to date, but it's also going to make you feel more confident when you are in a relationship that's not really working out so well, because you're going to be like, oh, wait, get back out there. I've got a lot of experience doing this. And social score is huge. It's very, very important for you guys. Let's see. I'll go back to Facebook Live. So Randy said, my guy broke up with me because he lost his job. He pushed me to be a better woman. He's my life. How do I help him? Well, look, one thing is for sure is that one theme I've noticed throughout my life when it comes to men is that men are very compartmentalized when it comes to relationships, right? Like we don't want to be in a hardcore committed relationship until essentially we have our shit together, right? And you're going to find that until guys have kind of like everything in order in their life, like they have the job, they have where they want to live, they have everything kind of settled, going in and out of relationships. And it's not until they kind of have each component put together for them where they're like, okay, now I'm ready to support. Now I'm ready to be in a relationship and see where that goes. And whether that comes from our DNA as humans or as men wanting to be providers, or it's just a matter of our own personal ego, it's something that I've seen with so many men. And that's especially the issue with guys in their early 20s is like, they don't know what the hell they're doing. They just don't know what they're doing in their life, that nothing has really come together with them. And like, if you're in a committed relationship with a guy in college and he's being a little bit flaky, like for you to take that to heart and feel bad about that, crazy, because he's just a college kid. He's just a college kid. He doesn't know what he's doing. Or a guy even in his early 20s or mid 20s, or sometimes nowadays, like even in his late 20s, doesn't even know what he's doing in his life. And many times until guys have all that put together, they don't feel ready to commit. Whereas women, on the other hand, I've noticed that women might not have all those components together, but you're always kind of just like keeping your eyes open. Like you might be saying, hey, I'm not really looking for a relationship, but if the right one came along, and that's a huge differentiator between men and women that I've found. So let's see. So it's greener. Let's see. How can I be social if I have social anxiety disorder? Well, cookie dough, interesting username. I like cookie dough ice cream personally. Jess has me on a diet right now, so I'm off the cookie dough, unfortunately. But the question was, how can I be social if I have social anxiety disorder? I actually just did a video on how to be more social. But I think the first thing that you could do is to try to remove that label from yourself. Now, you may have been diagnosed by a doctor that you have social anxiety disorder. I don't care. And now, obviously, if you're on medication, I am not an MD and don't take this as medical advice. However, once you put yourself in that position where everywhere you go, you always have this crutch that says, I have social anxiety disorder, then suddenly you are already limiting yourself. The key to overcoming any type of anxiety in social situations, and I'm not saying social anxiety in social situations, is to act as if, is to start to believe that you are truly the most social person in the world. Because if you keep going back to this idea in your mind, or this identity that you have that says, I can't do this, I've never been good at this, I'm not a very social person. Once you start labeling yourself that way, suddenly you end up becoming that person. So we truly become who we think we are. And I think the first step that you could take is start removing that label in your mind that you do have this disorder, and be able to try to push forward from there. And then from there, it's just taking baby steps in your life, right? If you previously would never, ever, ever go to a party by yourself, then maybe you just start out by going with some friends and go for like 10 minutes and then leave. And then the next night, maybe you go for 20 minutes and you start to build up, right? For me, I used to have a ton of anxiety when it came to speaking or like doing anything like this. Just like my first speech I ever gave, go up in front of 1,500 people and be like, yeah, like party in front of stage and like get going. No, I would have never done that. I would have freaked out. I would have never gone on stage ever again. The only way I got there was by slowly taking steps to be able to get up, get over my own anxiety when it came to public speaking. So hopefully that relates to you. I never had social anxiety disorder, but I certainly had anxiety when it came to things like public speaking or even approaching women. Okay. I'm going to take a few more and then I have to go. Unfortunately, I've gotten so much amazing feedback. This makes me so happy to be here for you guys. Give me a comment if you want me to do this again. I'd love to. Let me go back to so quick question on how to end a relationship. Gabriella, look, if you're here and you are asking about how to end a relationship, then the best thing to do is just rip off that Band-Aid. Look, ending relationships sucks. And I have a video on it. You feel free to watch that, but it all comes down to just action. There is no way to make the end of a relationship easy, even if you're the one breaking up with that person. And also realize that you might not feel so great after for many months to come. And that's because you had a bond. You actually had a chemical bond with one another and you're starting to break that bond. But if you come to terms and you said, this relationship is not what I want, it's not healthy for me, then just realize that there's no perfect way to break up with someone. Do it in person if you can. If you see that person, if it's a long distance relationship, then sometimes you have to pick up the phone. But just realize that you're doing that person a favor by ending it. You're actually doing them a disservice by even being here right now, asking about that, because your heart's not in it. So if your heart's not in it, he'd rather know right now than be led on and not be able to be in that relationship. So anyways, I think that's it. Cookie Dough, you're very welcome for answering the question. I'm so excited to be able to do all this with you guys. And this was really overwhelming, all of your support. I'm so excited to be able to do this. And I absolutely promise I will do this again. And like I said, under this, you're going to see a link. You can check out the Male Mind Map. This is like a pre-release for those of you who are on live. And so you'll be able to see, if you grab that map, it's like a $9 program. I wanted to put together something that is like the foundation of everything that I teach in my more advanced programs. And it gives you an opportunity to learn more about the male mind based on my experience having coached men and, of course, myself being a guy. So thank you again so much. It's been an absolute pleasure. And thank you. And I will speak to you guys next Thursday. So tune in. Bye-bye.